it's great. I think we have so much we're going to cover on today's program. The Monday edition. Yeah! Woo! The Monday edition. Wow. I was even trying to do lights, strawberries, and it did not work.
I've got to tell you, holy schmoly.
That was my first, Vanessa, hello. That was my first sneeze on a set in years. I think years. I go lights, strawberry, and it still came.
I can tell you that's the first.
Questions are already coming in.
That's the first sneeze.
Since in the history of Real Talk.
The history of Real Talk.
Maybe the history of the I Love CVille network. Certainly Real Talk.
Maybe the world. That was awesome. So how do you feel after that?
I feel good.
There you go.
Good. I went for a run this morning.
Really? Good for you. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I just went for the run.
Hey, good for you. Is that a normal route thing for you?
I mean, I'm pretty active. I mean,
yeah. But I mean, playing squash is running and sprinting all day long.
Yeah. So,
but you actually went for a mile or two, or
yeah, I'd probably bang out. What's the loop? 475.
Good for you, man. I did not know that.
Something like that. All right, so we'll get rocking and rolling. Guys, give the show a like and a share anywhere you are watching. Vanessa Parkhill just did that. Nicholas Erpy. Hello, Nicholas Erpy. Keith Smith has got some paperwork in front of him, Nicholas Erpy.
No, I just do that to make it look good.
Oh, my goodness, we got some paper over there. How are you feeling before we start?
Good. I got a 20-mile bike ride in this morning, so
Excellent.
we're all jacked up on endorphins and coffee and all that fun stuff.
Neil Williamson. ¿Qué pasa, amigo? Neil Williamson.
How was your weekend, Neil?
Yeah, Neil, how was your weekend? Let us know. Vanessa, let us know.
The boss, your family's back, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Very excited about that. Yeah, absolutely. Judah, we can rock and roll when you're ready, man. Guys, welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. My name is Jerry Miller. Good Monday morning to you. Thank you kindly for joining us. We have a Charlottesville, Central Virginia, Commonwealth, country, and worldwide audience at our disposal on a show presented today by Yes Realty Partners and Keller Williams Alliance. Find them online at yesrealtypartners.com. So much to cover on the Monday edition. My favorite day in news, a previous, way I paid my bills was writing stories and talking into a microphone on ESPN radio and doing a couple of TV shows for NBC 29 each week. Did that for 5 or 6 years. And my favorite day of news was Mondays. And why Mondays was my favorite for the local news cycle, certainly as a print reporter, was news oftentimes stockpiled over the weekend. Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday. So Monday, often my favorite day in the news cycle. And I think today is going to be an indication of a Monday jam-packed with information. Judah Wickower, if we can go to the studio camera. Sean Tubbs, my friend, welcome to the program.
Hey, Sean.
We love what you do for this community, Sean Tubbs.
I just read his report this morning.
I mean, it's fantastic. If you have not signed up for Sean Tubbs' newsletter,
do it.
You are missing something special that really keeps the community informed. He sends one out that really is a robust resource for this community. But Keith, good morning. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. I'm glad to hear that the fam's back and the band's back together again and all that great stuff. I'm happy to hear that. It's interesting you mentioned Channel 29. After the show today, I've got an interview with them. I guess they want to talk leasing and the housing market. So I told them just watch Real Talk and everything would be fine, but they want me to come in there and have a chat with them. So
fantastic. NBC 29, the home to many in the news business, certainly on the broadcasting side. From a training standpoint, just some good people over there. All right, where do you want to begin here? We got the Credit Suisse report. We got rates. We see a market that's you like the word decelerating. I like the word the pendulum is swinging to the buyer side. Days on market are longer. It's a O shifting market.
O shift.
Yes.
Nice O shift logo, right? Yeah, actually, I want to start off just something a little bit different. I kind of want to do a little PSA out here for K-Tech, right? Those who have been following this story, if not, we'll give them a brief overview on it. K-Tech is the vocational training center here in Charlottesville, the Charlottesville region, and unfortunately, they don't have an instructor for the trades class.
Oh, no wonder we don't have trades in this community. We don't have instructors to teach the next generation of our trades.
And it makes it worse. They have 60 individuals signed up to do it, and they don't have any instructors to do it. So I did a little bit of shout out on my Facebook. Please, folks, go out, give a shout out to them, see if there's anybody that a retired person or somebody to reach out and help them, because we're going to have 60 folks that are not going to get training, that are not going to go into the trades. And, we've been talking about, part of why inventory has been lacking, new construction in particular, is there's a lack of trades folks, a lack of trained folks to work. And here's a great program that is going ahead to help folks, to help young people learn a trade, and they don't have an instructor. So felt that was a great way to start the show off, and also feel it's a little on the sad side.
Well, I mean, it's national standard. Teachers at a premium as we speak. We have a shortage in education. We have people choosing different careers. Often people ask themselves this question during the pandemic, and now a contagious variant is certainly circulating around the community. Why should I stand in a room and teach strangers for meager pay and risk my health?
Yeah,
and that's literally what's happening. Teachers, bus drivers, waiters, waitresses, bartenders, hosts, any kind of frontline worker is really thinking, what should I be doing with my career?
And that is definitely a consideration. I just felt that with this platform that you and I have, I felt it would be a great opportunity to get out there and share the word on it. And if somebody can help that and take care of these 60 young folks that want to learn the trades and help us build our way out of this crisis, this lack of inventory crisis, this housing shortage crisis that I think we're in at the moment, this is one of the reasons why we have it at the moment, to be honest with you. So
Absolutely.
I felt I wanted to start the show off with that. So
I like it. So Keith Smith, my friend, the questions continue.
Let's take them.
This question is, guys, I watched and listened to your show from Friday when you guys were talking inventory and the expectations for the remainder of the year. Keith had numbers and data for us on Friday. Can we go back to that conversation and ask Keith how the weekend treated him and Yona? He said he had a fairly busy weekend. Welcome Ray Cadell to the program.
Yeah, so great kickoff. Emily Funk and I did an open house on Sunday. Just a quick 2-hour open house, 1, 2, 3. Properties located somewhere by Lachlan Hill. It's in the low 4s as far as the price range goes, and we had 12 groups come through there within 2 hours. So very robust traffic on that end. So I was pretty excited to see that. Real interesting diversity of buyer.
Okay.
Everything from investors that just want to buy it for the contract nurses,
okay,
right, to 3 young men. Reminded me of you when you bought your first home, that they're going to buy their first home, kind of split the mortgage a little bit, just that they can get their foot in the door. And
3 men buying it together?
They're buying it together.
How's the bank? Does the bank allow that? Primary residence financing split among 3 bachelors? That seems like an issue waiting to happen.
Well, they were represented by another agent, so I didn't get into how they were going to pay for it. But based on the conversation, it seemed like there was a parent in the mix.
Okay.
That would probably do this without financing.
Okay, very nice.
There's that type of thing. So they end up building some of their own equity.
Little wealth. I like that.
Little equity going there. A couple of young couples with firstborn. Some couples without children yet, expecting children or planning children.
And this is price point in the mid 4s?
No, very low 4s.
Low 4s?
405 to be exact.
Okay.
So yeah, and
That's a great price point.
Yeah.
Lachlan Hill.
well, it's not in Lachlan Hill.
Okay.
It's in Albemarle County just before you get to Lachlan Hill.
Okay, okay.
On that, it actually adjoins Lachlan Hill on it. But great traffic. We had 50-something open houses last weekend, which is huge.
That's a massive amount.
A year ago, there was.
What's that tell you? There's 50 open houses where strangers can walk into houses and to check them out. The open house at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, certainly in June of 2020, halfway through, we legitimately were saying the open house will never return to real estate.
And it came back in a big way.
Understatement.
In a big way.
Understatement.
Yeah, so I think, I think at some level we're progress, or we're moving through this. We're getting a lot smarter on how to do it. Everybody was super cautious. Everybody was super gracious. We didn't let a lot of people in the home at one particular time. We kind of managed that a little bit. That's the reason we had 2 agents there to manage the traffic flow through the home on that end of it. But, what it told me was the buyers are out there still, and they're out there looking, and they're picking their tempo up. I did not expect to have, in 2 hours, to have 12 groups, and some of those groups were anywhere between 2 and 4 people.
Legitimate buyers are kicking the tires.
No, legitimate buyers. Heard a lot of, I've been on the sidelines, now I'm getting back into it type of thing.
50 open houses is a lot, Keith.
50 open houses a lot. Now, in fairness, you have to look at that a little bit, because a percentage of those are new construction open houses that are constant open houses.
Yeah.
They use their
model homes.
Their model homes on that end of it. But I didn't get a chance to break it down which was and which wasn't. But the number itself was pretty huge. I can tell you right now, I pulled the numbers for just a quick analysis, my 7-day analysis. There's already 18 set up for next weekend. Open houses are not in it.
Any incentives to go to the open house?
No, those are broker open houses.
Yeah.
So those are just the brokers where
Okay.
they kind of feed them, and that's coming back. So we had a very lively discussion on Friday.
Great show.
On Friday about where I think the market is going for the rest of the year, and this feels more, as far as the market goes, how it's performing, it feels more like 18 than it does any other the last couple of years on that end of it. So, it feels that way. 18, you had open houses. 18, you had...
2018.
Thank you. You had that normal process. You're not hearing a lot of for informational purposes only home inspections or no home inspections. Very locally, market driven, locality driven. Some of those are definitely still in the marketplace. But as overall, you're starting to see a little bit less of that.
Keith Smith, Yes Realty Partners, Real Talk with Keith Smith, guys. Visit us online at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Click the Partners tab, and you'll see the best in real estate, the best of the businesses you can trust, the supply chain we call real estate. We were talking last week, and I got a lot of positive feedback from viewers and listeners on the show last week, because they found the debate lively, entertaining, engaging, and full of information. I was making a prediction.
They must have been talking about Judah.
Yeah, Judah has a lot to say on
He does,
housing
very
and
much so.
inventory. In fact, if you ever want to jump in, let us know. Give me a sign. I'm happy to get you in the mix. We value your perspective, Judah. You know that. We were debating last week, whether existing inventory, excluding new construction, whether the inventory levels in 2022 would finish at in bear market territory versus 2021. And bear market territory is a 20% reduction in inventory sold. So we were comparing 2022 to 2021. Keith was trying to compare 2022 to 2018, which I kind of, gave him a little zinger zag and said it was too far. 4 years was too long. The better comparison was the previous year.
Correct.
The issue was the previous year was an anomaly because it was a pandemic and it was data points we'd never seen before.
Absolutely. So there was total across the board data points we've never seen before. I think it's an unfair comparison on that end of it. It's interesting. I pulled some numbers real quick. Mortgage. Let's face it. either in one or we're getting ready close to.
I mean, we all know we're in one. I think we're in one. He's talking about a recession. We'll know very shortly. Can you find out, Judah? Will you look into this here and give us the time frame when we'll officially know if Q2 was a down quarter, and then that would be back-to-back quarters for an official recession? Can you let us know when that's going to happen? Keith, you jump in.
Yeah. So I looked up something on that, and this is actually per the Mortgage Association of America. But in any event, it's got like the several big recessions. So the 1980 recession, which started from January to July, was only 6 months. What happened was, believe it or not, it started off the year with 16% mortgage rates, but by the end of that 6 month, the mortgage rates dropped to 11.8%. By today's standards, that's high, but in the early 2000s, there was a recession between March 2001 and November 2001. By the way, that was just an 8-month recession. Those interest rates dropped when the beginning of the recession from 7.4 to 6.8. The Great Recession, or the Great Time of Unpleasantness, we started at 6%, ended that, and that was 1.5 years, to 4.9. The reason I bring that up is Scott Morris, Marvelous Mortgage Morris, has predicted. I like that, huh?
That was nice. He's coming on Wednesday, Scott Morris. Ross Mortgage.
Yeah, and hopefully we can take a deeper dive into what I'm talking about. But he predicted this a couple of months ago.
He did.
That the interest rates will start kind of scooping down a little bit. And I think if you see the Feds kind of jump up a little bit more, a couple of rates, I think in the beginning of next year, you're going to see these interest rates kind of balance out a little bit on the lower side. But, just to take a look at what happened in the last 7 days, car footprint, 89 units came on the market. To your point, 64 went off. I've never seen that ratio in a couple of years, right?
Where normally it's the ones that are coming on market, say there's 50 or more were going into pending.
Yeah, so if we hit a par, we figured that was good.
During the pandemic, It was always less inventory coming on the market that was going under the contract. And what's happening now is the pendulum has swung. More inventory is coming on the market than homes are going into pending.
So I actually take a picture of this every week, and as you're talking, I'm looking up what the July, what is a year ago on that number. So as you chat a little bit, and Judah jumps in.
Judah, give me a hand signal when you have that info from me. No rush. Just make sure it's right what you relay to the viewers and listeners. We have comments coming in. This is from Ray Cadell.
So
Ray Cadell's a broker, right? Ray Cadell's a broker.
Ray Cadell's an awesome human being.
Yeah, Ray Cadell and Associates.
He's a broker and probably one of the best horn tutors or blowers in the country, as far as I'm concerned.
It's a great horn player. He has this comment: I sold a 5-acre lot in Albemarle County over the weekend. Multiple offers, Ray Cadell says.
Yeah.
My client wins. Have a trusted real estate advisor on your side always, but especially in hot or transitional markets.
So a year ago, weekend in June 25th, 75 homes came on the market, 76 went into pending. So that was a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago on that end of it. So, it's the ratio is about right? It's not that far off, 85, 75, that kind of thing. There's still enough homes kind of churning, and to Ray Cadell's point, you need a trusted advisor. And again, pull that partners tab off of Real Talk with Keith Smith, because this is the time that you need the partners that are on that list. Everybody from Ally Property Management to Stanley Martin, Segura, Pearl Certification, Charlottesville Settlement Closure Title, our good buddy Fincham and Associates, and Neil, because Neil puts out, Free Enterprise Forum puts out some great product, and our friends at Ross Mortgage, man.
Free Enterprise Forum, guys. Neil Williamson does a hell of a job. Vanessa Parkhill in Earlysville has this comment.
Yeah.
VP, we love when you watch the program. Bill McChesney, hello.
That's it. I got to write that down.
My dad was a shop teacher. Later in his career, he lobbied in D.C. for continued support of industrial arts education. He said computers in college are not for everyone, and we all need plumbers and electricians. When his school system sold metal shop equipment and replaced that with CAD classes, he was so sad. He predicted the shortage of skilled craftsmen. Vanessa Parkhill, good comment.
So it's interesting. My nephew, my wife is European, is Austrian. He lives in Austria. And in high school, in his last 4 years of high school, he had to make a decision. Did he want to go on the vocational track or did he want to go on the college track? So he chose a vocational track. And he works for the Austrian State Gas Company. And he's a pipe fitter. He connects pipes and all that stuff. And he probably makes more money than all of us put together. I talk about my little brother all the time, right? I call him Doctor, right? Shows up, does trim carpentry, right? And he learned that on the job with us and my father and family. But we need to support this trades program.
So a lot of people say, Keith, the unemployment rate's at 3.6%.
Yeah.
Who said at 3.6%? We're doing something right. I heard one of Biden's team members.
Are those real numbers?
Well, I heard one of Biden's team members this morning on CNBC squawk on the street talking about the unemployment rate. And he was touting for the Biden administration the 3.6 unemployment rate. Said it's a fantastic number.
Is it a fantastic number?
3.6% is pretty damn low.
That's low, but is having unemployment that low helping us?
I mean, you had a former retired Fed chair talking about needing 10 million people to lose their jobs to get out of this inflationary period and out of this recessionary period. I don't know, man. It's you look at the economy, and today news out of China. Part of China went down lockdown again. Did you see that, Judah, because of COVID? So part of China's under lockdown again.
So Fannie Mae does this purchase sentiment index. 8 out of 10 consumers say the economy is in the wrong track.
I saw that too. That survey.
Yeah, it's going in the wrong track. All I'm trying to do is break it down into, as Mrs. Smith says about Keith all the time. You tend to oversimplify things, and I do because I'm just a Marine and I got to keep things simple for my little brain to understand it. But if I've got all kinds of notes here because I'm going to be talking to Channel 29 here after this about.
I mean, they only give you about 10 seconds of airtime over there.
Yeah, but exactly right. That's why they should be watching this and looking at these numbers that we're talking about on that end of it. But they have. I have literally think I have the socks I'm wearing is old and been around longer than this reporter. Thank you. But my point I'm trying to make here is that if there's 60 motivated young people, why can't we just find somebody to help teach them? I just don't get it. And I'll tell you what, to be honest with you, if I wasn't doing all the work I was doing, and this is an excuse, and doing the volunteer work that I'm doing on these boards and commissions to help housing affordability,
you would do it.
I would do it in a heartbeat. I really would.
So, all right, you got we're going in 3-shot. Judah's coming in with the GDP number. I mean, that's around the corner.
It's got to be pretty quick.
All I can find is the Atlanta Fed is expecting a Q2 decline of 1.9%.
But we talked about that. So this is going to be this seesaw back and forth, right? The official definition of a recession is 2 quarters back to back, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think you're going to get 2 quarters back to back probably until probably this time next year, probably second and third of 2023, because you're going to do the seesaw. I think you're going to have just a slight improvement of GDP.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. A slight improvement on that. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
That's my dyslexia. I read it backwards.
No problem. No problem.
Hey, we got people calling us.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah. So I think you're going to see this up and down, but it's the way I look at it is I think between inflationary pressure, right, and everything across the board as far as the economy going in the wrong track, 8 out of 10, to me that tells me we're in a recession, but I'm not an expert by any stretch of the
Kevin in Waynesboro doesn't show the people who have essentially dropped out of the system. He's talking about the unemployment number.
Yeah.
And he's right.
I don't think that number's right.
He's right. There's people that either have completely dropped out of the job market or reinvented themselves into self-employed
But
wage earners.
You're a marketing guy, right? You're a PR guy. I mean, that's exactly what the government needed to do, right? They needed to tout it because it's a great number. It's a low number. I'm not so sure it's a real number.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know what's real or not right now. I mean, does anyone have any confidence in what's real or not in a lot of stuff that's being put out there now?
Maybe that's why 8 out of 10 think
I mean, does anyone have any confidence in the COVID numbers that are reporting and I mean, there's just a lot of untrust. There's a lot of untrust, understandably so. So the back half of the year, your prediction for the back half of the year, it sounds like you want to revisit a bet. At least that's what you were saying before the show
I want
started.
to revisit a bet, but shorten it,
Okay?
right? Because I honestly think that in the beginning of the fourth quarter of this year, I think you're going to start seeing interest rates balance out a little bit.
Beginning of the fourth quarter.
I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see that the Fed is going to start putting its thumb, or the government for that matter, is going to start putting its thumb on the scale to try to help mortgage rates stabilize. We've seen that a little bit now. It's roughly 5.3 something.
Depending on your credit, somewhere in the
Depending
mid
on credit
fives.
score, yeah. They're lowering the credit. That's what I mean by.
I noticed that.
That's why I mean by the Feds are going to start putting their thumbs on it. They're lowering the credit score requirements. I believe they're going to end up coming out with some product that's going to help the first-time home buyer on that end of it. But you offered a bet up for the end of the year. I wanted to kind of tweak it a little bit and go from July 1 to 9/30, full car footprint, so that
No, let's do the whole year. I'll do the whole year.
You do the whole year?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to put a number out there, so we got a number.
Yeah.
July 1, 2018 to 3.
No. July 1, 2022 to December
doing it.
31, 2022
I was just doing it
versus
back.
July 1, 2021, December, no 2018. It's 2022 versus
I
2022.
thought I got to pick the year I wanted to pick.
No.
Oh, we might change this then.
Yeah.
You're
taking,
comparing it to next year.
the
year.
bet was always last year.
Oh, yeah.
I said there's going to be a 20% reduction in inventory sold versus last year. I would never do 18. 18 wasn't a red hot year. Why would I utilize 18 as the bet barometer comparison?
Yeah, well, yeah,
It's versus last year.
yeah, that's not going to happen. Last
Yeah.
year is we'll be closer to 18.
Yeah,
We'll hit-
that's what I'm saying.
we'll
So
hit it.
here's the question I have for you. What happens in Central Virginia? This is a question for you too.
Sure.
If you want to go to a 3-shot. What will happen to Central Virginia, Charlottesville area, when we have 20% less real estate inventory sold at the end of this year versus last year? Because that's what's going to happen.
So that's the reason I keep on going to 2018. It's just going to be 2018.
What will happen?
What do you mean? What will happen?
What's going to
People
happen?
will still buy houses.
What's going to happen to the amount of agents in the game? What's going to happen to
Well,
closing?
we
What's
did-
going to happen to appraisers? What's going to happen to inspectors? You have inspectors getting in the inspection game right now. You have folks, and we worked on launching a brand identity for one, did we not, Judah? Remember? We don't have
Yeah.
to mention who it is.
Yeah,
Going
I
through
know.
extensive training. The training process is extensive.
In 2018, it wasn't the same, by the way.
And interestingly, the competitors train the new to market
It's a
people.
weird program,
So
isn't
freaking weird.
Yeah.
Why does that happen that way? Why do the people that
Because
are
there's an organization called DPOR, which regulates the licenses, and they say that's the way that's going to be.
I mean, so basically what's happening for this company we help launch, there's a guy coming in the game that's going to be a home inspector, and he has to get trained by his current inspectors for a significant amount of hours or coursework. So the competitors
They
are
have to-
training the new to market people.
They have to have so many inspections under their belt.
But when he got into this game of being a home inspector, this was like, considering 6-8 months ago.
Yeah,
It's a completely different market.
it is correct.
That's
So-
a good example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so
If you have 20% less the inventory sold this year versus last year, that is going to have ramifications from an economic standpoint for this region.
I'm still trying to follow. So I don't mean to be flippant about it, but
Not enough work for people? I wouldn't be flippant about it at all.
so, but
That's what's going to happen.
But there's always shift. Oh, shift. There's always shift going on, and always shift in the market. The people that are going to be pros are going to stay in the market and do well, and the people that are not won't. That's the market. That's the free market system.
And that's what I'm asking. What is the collateral damage of having 20% less inventory sold year over year? What's the fallout? There is fallout to that.
Yeah, so as far as the real estate agents go, there'll be some people getting out of the business, maybe not so many people getting into the business. It'll balance it out. The same thing with all the home inspectors, the appraisers. But our industry, Jerry, shifts all the time, constantly shifting back and forth, right? During the time of great unpleasantness, all these attorneys, right? Charlottesville Settlement, one of our sponsors, was one of them that did a great job at it. They ramped up their short sales and foreclosure department. Then all of a sudden that went away, right? So, it's constantly shifting. You have to constantly look forward in your business. I know that's what we're doing. Again, I've said this multiple times. I'm actually super excited.
I know you are, and I respect that. I appreciate that.
About going forward, because we've got the skill sets to go ahead and do that. The professional agents that out there that's got the skill sets are going to do great in this market.
Here's a follow-up question for you.
But let me hold on a second here.
Sure.
So the part of the problem is like Yona said, even a turkey can fly in a hurricane, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to have to bring your A game. You're going to have to be professional. You're going to have to be caring. You're going to have to be trustworthy. The people in the market that do that on a regular basis and have been doing it on a regular basis will be just as busy as they are now, well, they will be next year. The people that can't do the job well will not.
Okay, follow-up question for you. And I agree with everything you're saying. I agree with everything you're saying.
Is the
right
AC
now.
off in here?
No, ACC's running very nice, about 70 degrees. About 70 degrees. Anytime you want to jump in, it's completely cool. Judah, if you don't want to jump in, that's completely cool too. I completely get it.
So what do you think is going to happen? Let's throw the question back at you.
I think I stand by the statement I said all last week. I think this year versus last year, you will have 20% less the inventory sold in the car footprint.
Okay.
I think heading into next year.
Maybe that's the bet. Maybe the bet is if it's under or do the under and over on 20%. That I probably.
I think that's the bet I was trying to do last year.
Okay.
Last Friday. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
I said if you take 2021 and compare it to 2022, you will have 20% less inventory sold. That's the definition of a bear market. 20% down.
Yeah, correct.
That's what I said.
You got to be 20% or more. Right.
20% less inventory sold. So the over-under is 20%. If you want to take that bet, I'm happy to do that. I do think that bet is heavily set up in my favor.
It is very much so.
So the follow-up question, what I think is going to happen is this. This is what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to have the rest of the year, the inventory levels down 20%. I think going into next year, then you're going to start seeing things coming online like the data science school opening. Going into next year, you're going to start hearing a couple of these companies that are poaching on the data science school that we're hearing scuttlebutting around that are opening once that school opens, getting ready to open as well. So next year, you're going to be coming out of an inventory pinch, and then you're going to have a new school opening in Charlottesville.
So
that's big.
Go back to your 20% number, right? And these are numbers that we talked about on Friday. Charlottesville, single family attached, we were down 22%.
I know.
In single family detached, we were only down 2% on that end of it. Albemarle County, we were down 20% the first half of the year. So you're probably not too far off. It's going to probably be a percentage point either side of 20%. That's the kind of reason why I don't want to take it. But what I kept on going about 2018. But look, so we have 20% down, less sold. You think that's going to be catastrophic for our industry or for the market?
I think it's going to have, yes.
Really?
I think you're going to have a lot of people finding new careers after this run. I think you're going to see, look at what happened after Keith, look at what happened after 2008, 2009, and 2010.
I don't have to look at it. I lived it.
2008, 2009, 2010, we had so many small builders leave the market.
Well done.
We had a ton of agents leave the market. We had a ton of tradespeople leave the market and go work at places like Walmart distribution, and we've never recovered from the 2009, 2010.
And
certainly from
apparently we can't. Because
a labor standpoint.
We can't find an instructor to teach 60 kids.
That's what I'm saying, okay? So now, gosh, we got comments coming here. I think after this year, when 20% less inventory is sold, you're going to have a lot of people going into next year saying, is this the career and business for me? And going into next year, there's no indication that the headwinds that are present, and the headwinds briefly outlined are as follows. Correct me if I'm missing a headwind, okay? Russia, Ukraine, interest rates, a national shortage of new inventory for years.
It's been decades.
Decades. Did I say interest rates?
You said interest rates.
I did. Labor shortage, inventory shortage, inflation, and gas issues. I was listening this morning. I read, I listen, everything. Putin in Russia is talking about keeping this going into winter to squeeze the Ukrainians from a cold standpoint.
Well, it's more than that. They're going to squeeze
The energy standpoint with Europe.
They're going to squeeze, exactly right.
They're shutting down pipelines right now.
It's interesting. I read an article because Yona and I.
European countries, and I know you said last week this happens all the time. European countries are rationing energy at much greater clips right now because they're uncertain what how long this war is going to last.
So it's interesting. And look, to quote Scott Marvelous Mortgage Morris, right? Marine Corps, shoot, move, and communicate, right? Adapt and overcome. I read an article yesterday because Yona reads the Austrian newspapers online, of course, every day. Germany and Austria are actually now designating nuclear, Google this when you get a chance, nuclear power plants as green. So they're now adapting to the reality that come wintertime, they're not going to be getting their natural gas from Russia or wherever they're getting it from. They're going to have to start creating their own. And I thought that is extremely odd that they would define nuclear power as a green thing. They're also improving their solar and their wind power. I tell this story all the time. This was in 2006. When my mother-in-law passed away out in the countryside of Austria, the actual hospital was powered by wind turbines. The hospital was powered by wind turbines. So we're going to adapt. We're going to overcome. This is what we do. Our industry is going to adapt and overcome. This is why I started in April this O-shift conversation. It's coming, folks, right? But that doesn't mean you have to be scared for it. Doesn't mean you have to panic. You don't have to mean you have to do anything. You just need to prepare for it. And you have to start increasing your skills as far as this side of the table goes, or anybody. You have to get your skills. You have to do that. And to your point, maybe some of the people that came in the last 2 years just won't be able to keep their skill levels up.
Kevin Higgins calls. He's watching in Greenwood, Virginia, the data science school, the Taj Mahal, and says he agrees with me of the impact the school's going to have with inventory being so tight.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
I think you're going to see, you're the pro. I sit here on a microphone and just talk to very smart people for a living. It's what I have to do. That's my job. Learn from people like you on set and a camera and keep the discussion going. It's a very enjoyable job. I'm all clearly, if you watch the program, a positive person.
Oh yeah,
a glass is half full person. Very bullish person. Look at the.
I get that, but you haven't answered my question. So if we, and that's the reason I'm using 2008. I think 2018. Excuse me. That's where our numbers are going to be. That's where our volume is going to be. That's where the amount of
the
homes.
The difference between now and 2018 is the following:
you're not going to let me finish.
The inventory, the price points are completely different. They're 40% higher.
No, they're way higher than that.
50% higher.
No, they're way higher than that.
Yeah. So to compare a home in 2018 for a family of 4 that would have traded for 3 and it's now traded for 475 is not a good comparison.
So I would.
What's the difference between 18 and 2022 from a delta of appreciation?
The pent-up demand.
What's the delta?
Buyer.
50%?
What are you talking about?
How much of the homes appreciated in value from 2022 to 2018?
I did it by jurisdictions. Pick one.
Call it Charlottesville. 4 years, 2018 versus 2022.
Single-family detached Charlottesville, 32%.
So year over year, or 2018 versus 2022.
$112,000
It's up 32%. What's Albemarle County?
I didn't do the math, but it was 425 in 18 and 575 now, single-family detached.
$150,000 increase.
Yeah.
That's why we can't compare those years.
But
They're not even,
But-
the price points.
you know what? I would love you to do, the next time we do an open house, I'd like you to come join us. Right?
You want me to go to an open house?
Yeah, why
On the
not?
weekend?
Yeah, sure.
Because I got other things I got to do.
Come on now. So, but it was interesting. There was 405, 1,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, gorgeous yard, gorgeous home.
Single family detached.
Single family detached, gorgeous home, brand new roof, brand new HVAC system, well put together. We had at 5.30% mortgage, we had 12 groups of people come through with all different buyer profiles, right? And frankly, we'll move that home, frankly.
Oh, no doubt.
Right?
It's a great price.
But my point is that it's interesting. Go back to these dates. Just to go back to the bet that I was trying to do, but I failed. The second half of 2018, the average DOMs were 38 days.
Okay.
Versus now, which is like 5 or 6 days. 5,
Second
6,
half of
7.
2022.
No, we don't know yet because it's not finished yet.
Okay.
I was
You
talking
said
the first
half.
half. The
Got
first
it.
half, right? The first half, we're somewhere around, and it's interesting. I had somebody call me about this home that we just listed and go, "Have you sold it yet?" I said, "My God, I just listed it Saturday morning." Right? So the expectations are there. Expectations will change. Education will change. People will start adjusting a little bit. I don't know about the other realtors out there, but I'm starting to see sellers getting a little bit more realistic on price, right? They're actually listening to their professionals on that end of it. But this was a really neat cross-section of buyers. Again, everything from 3 guys trying to not rent anymore because rent is killing them.
Yeah.
To move into something, to a family with a brand new baby on that, and people wanting to do Airbnbs with them. It was
Did you talk? Is it an association?
No,
HOA?
No, it's no association.
All right. Well, there you go.
Well, they
Airbnb.
got to comply with the Albemarle County rules,
Yeah.
which of course
half the year.
most of the people did not know that.
Yeah.
So we did a little education there on the spot on that.
Most of the people still don't know that you have to stay half the year in the house.
I would tell you of the 6 people that wanted to do that, 4 did not know that, 2 did. 1 had no interest in short term. They have interest in a business model of contract nurses.
Oh man, I'm going to throw this to you from Neil Williamson. This is another potential headwind. Are you ready for this headwind? 50% of Albemarle County's population does not work, i.e., retired baby boomers.
Yeah.
Half of Albemarle County, according to datausa.io. The link is in. Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum. Neil, you made the show better again.
So follow up to that is, and it's something that we
That's
don't
another
have.
headwind. You know why that's a headwind?
Well, let me finish, please. So the reason there's a part of that is that we need to figure out what the buyer profile is for what currently going on, and I can't pull that off a car or Paragon. I have to actually go in and start looking at the actual GIS data to see who it is. But it'd be interesting on who is the buyer. To Neil's point, I bet you a lot of the buyers coming in here are on the boomer end, not the younger end.
100%.
Yeah.
Because it's expensive.
Well,
It's not on the younger end in Albemarle County. It's in the wealthy end.
yeah, but it's interesting. Again,
If half of Albemarle County is retired and not working, that would be an indication that they're not going to look to sell their homes.
So 50% of so it's interesting. Half of the 12 groups that went through on Sunday were millennials. The other half were boomers, which has been the comment I've been making for years. Those are the two buyer profiles right now. And these are millennials that, you know, when you start talking, one reason I love doing open houses, and most people,
You like talking to people.
I love people, I love talking to people,
Yeah.
and you start engaging with them and what their needs are, and you start asking very, you know, W questions, right? Where, what, when, and why, that kind of thing on that end of it. All are going to finance. All the millennials had a substantial amount of cash they saved up over the last couple of years. All of them were professionals, from nurses to teachers on that end of it. A police officer was one of them on that end of it. So they've saved up some cash, and they're putting more money down now than they would have last year. But they're still in the game. They're still buying. They still understand the value of acquiring now and building equity and wealth.
Let's give a shout out to Interstate Service Company,
Yeah.
ISC, a home's best friend. Interstate Service Company, a proud partner of this show.
And that's important to talk about right now, because this O shift, right, and this market that's coming up, right? I don't disagree with you. 20% off. It's just you've got to bring your skills to the table. So I'm sitting down talking to you.
A 20% lack of inventory is a headwind for real estate, but it's a tailwind for remodeling, like
Well,
Interstate
that's
Service
exactly where I was going with this. So we have a couple of listings coming up, and we've given them the ISC number to call them, because there's a little bit of work that they have to do, right? This time last year, 6 months last year, the beginning of this year,
You could sell anything.
if it had a pulse, it sold,
Yeah.
right? On this end of it. Now, it's important to do that. This particular home that we listed over had Emily Funk come in and do a
Staging analysis.
correct, right? And decluttering, and it made a difference. I think a year ago, people really didn't care. So you've got to have these skills. You've got to have these trusted advisors. You've got to bring in Pearl, right? Woody Fincham did a thing. You bring Pearl, you get a Pearl certification for several $100, $300, $400, $500, whatever it is. You're going to bump 5% on the end of it. This home that we put on the market, the analysis was about a little bit less than 405, but he put, before we listed, the day before we listed it, a brand new high efficiency SEER unit, HVAC unit in it, and you know, not a single person batted an eye about the price.
Jennifer, watching the program, she said, I watch your show regularly. She said, Keith mentioned all the time that you're looking for listings as an agent. Now are the agents looking for buyers as the market has shifted?
That's a great question. Look, the name of the game, and you should tag Michael Guthrie, because he taught me this. I fought him a little bit on it, but he's 100% right. Listings are always the name of the game. You got to have something to sell, right? So if you don't have, if you're focusing on buyers and you're not focusing on listings, what are you going to sell, right? On that end of it, it goes back to this inventory question. But great point that you just say that, because I can tell you internally, in the beginning of this year, we are now focusing on improving buyer agent skills. That's what we're doing in our little team, KWA, Yes Realty Partners. We're working on building the skills and the professionalism you need from a buyer's perspective. You also have to do it from the seller end of it. We just had this conversation about ISC, right? Again, you know, if you don't know what you're looking at, and you don't know how to advise your client on how to do that, the market's going to tell you. The buyers are super smart. They're going to tell you, well, hold it. So on this unit, I told him, I said, look, you need to get a new HVAC. It's 20 years old. You need to do this. And he said, okay. And he spent the money to do that. The seller spent the money to do that. And if you, a month ago, 6 months ago, that wouldn't really mattered. Now it matters, because the buyer's going to walk in there, and first thing they're going to look at is, hold it, this is a 20-year unit. Next month, I'm going to have to spend $8,000, $10,000 to do it, right? Then all of a sudden it impacts value at that point. So we got in front of it. So this is where the skills matter. This is where the communication with the seller and the buyers matter. Is my coffee kicking in?
Your coffee's doing well. I tagged Michael Guthrie.
Thank you.
Per your
Thank
request.
you,
Michael
Michael.
Guthrie,
He gave some great advice.
let us know if you want to jump in with perspective or thoughts, Michael Guthrie.
Yeah,
We love when you do.
he taught me listings matter. I fought him a little bit in the beginning of it because that's who I am. I fight all the time. But he's right. Listings do matter.
True. It's true. We have to massage that stubbornness from time to time.
Oh, and you're not?
I mean, I wouldn't say as stubborn as you are. I would say that is one of your strengths.
Mrs. Smith and my children.
They would definitely agree.
They would
Yeah,
disagree with my strengths, and they would agree I'm stubborn.
Well, I was being nice. I was trying to be nice there. So,
Well, you know the name of my bike, right?
what is the name? It's a Scott. You said
It's a Scott, but the line of it's called the Addict.
the Addict.
Addict 20, 15, 30.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying it?
I'm loving it, man.
Yeah.
I got to tell you.
Every day.
I got to tell you, everybody that from Jim Duncan to Quentin Beckham said, when you make the jump up from where I was at to where I am now, and it's substantial cost difference.
Why? What's the difference? Not price, but
Performance.
yeah, that's what I'm asking.
My other bike, I couldn't get a 12 to 20 mile ride in any more than 12 miles per hour. Now I'm doing 15. It makes a difference, the speed, but it's like 18 pounds versus 40 pounds.
Oh, it's a huge difference.
Oh, and it's and the folks at Blue Wheel were great.
Did you sell the old bike?
Of course not.
Are the bikes back in stock? Did you ask them that question?
No. So that's interesting. So I'm actually working on bringing them on the show because their inventory mirrors our inventory.
Right.
On that,
Like cars, like houses, like bikes.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you because
How long did you wait for the bike after ordering?
Yeah. So it's funny. I hit a certain age. When I was your age,
You overthought everything, so you just went in and bought it on the spot.
we spent too much.
That's
time
what you
on it.
did with this bike. Is you bought
When
it.
I
on
was
the
your
spot.
age, I would do things very quickly. Now I spend way too much time making a decision. The bike I wanted was gone.
Ooh, what's the turnaround time?
The next bike that was there, I bought because it was a little bit more money. It was there, it was on the spot, and I bought it. And I made the right choice at the end of the day. Similar to a house, right? I made the right choice. I spent a little bit more money than I wanted to spend, than Mrs. Smith wanted me to spend on it. But I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm loving my rides
Every day.
every day, loving them.
Good for you. Keith Smith staying healthy with some exercise on a
Well,
bicycle.
we've got to do this show for another 25 years. I got to stay.
You got to do it longer than that. You got to do it longer than that, Keith Smith. You're an expert and very talented broadcaster here.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's kind.
Here's a comment. A couple comments that have come in here. And you know that this gentleman who watches the show, Mr. Yancey, believes this is 2008, 2009 all over again.
Yeah,
He said this, just like 2008.
Let me get this out here.
I know
for a
you're
second.
going to get. We know why you don't think it's like 2008.
No, that's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say, that's why I love doing this show. Right? There's people of different opinions.
It's beautiful.
We
It's
have
a talk show.
We have a conversation. That's why this conversation I'm going to have with the reporter is going to be 10 seconds long. Nobody's going to really care about what I have to say there. But here, I was telling you the other day, Ned Galloway, right? Car lots. From when he was on the show, he has people walk in from our show and goes in, hey, I saw you on the show and bought a car. That's impactful. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So this is from Mr. Yancey. Just like in 2008 to 2010, everybody that got into real estate, see how many are still going to be in it in 6 months from now. He says, why stay in a game where big money builders can bankrupt you by going bankrupt and being back in the market in 30 days? So the comparisons continue to 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, and I got it. And I understand why somebody would think that way. But there's so many.
There are factors why it's not the same.
So your argument.
I agree with you. It's not the same as 8, 9, and 10.
But I get it. So we're having a debate about next year and 20% off and how it's going to impact the industry.
The difference with this is I'm doing this bet based on inventory levels and not values of homes.
Yeah.
I think we have a bear market based on inventory levels and not values of homes. This has nothing to do with the values of your houses
they go
dropping.
hand to hand, Jerry.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
well,
Less inventory does not mean lower in price.
So to Kevin's point, right? You that was an implosion. That was a balloon.
That popped.
Judah came over with a pin and popped it, right?
If we have 20% less homes sold this year versus last year, it's going to make prices soar.
I think they're soaring already. That's my point. But the reality of it is back in '08, both happened. Inventory shot up, prices dropped.
Yeah.
Right. So that, but you know, and Scott will fill us in more on Wednesday on this. And on Friday, I've got Quentin Beckham and Yona coming in. And
Nice.
We're going to do a lessons from the legends, and we're actually going to talk about a little bit, you know, why this isn't 2008. So Kevin, thanks for the primer for Friday on that. And actually what we're going to do a little bit different on Wednesday, we're going to shoot out a couple of questions so we can go ahead and ask the legends a few questions. And then he's constantly asking me. We're going to bring some other folks in on that. But I do want to take a quick look at numbers. I didn't do the math on it, on that end of it. But let's go and look at Albemarle County single family detached and look at 20, right? So first half of the year, Albemarle County single family detached, no new construction. We had 513. 21 was 651. That's our 20% difference. In 20, it was 457. So 457 units sold in 20. And just to throw a number out there to get a little thing on it. But Kevin, I know, I get it. There is going to be an adjustment. There always is an adjustment. You know, recessions tend to kind of clean house a little bit. I don't wish anybody to lose anything ever. And that's from somebody who lost everything.
What do you make of the comment that I said to Jim Duncan, who very quickly shot down whether Charlottesville is insulated from the recession? And Kevin says, I hear the hissing in the balloon again. Kevin Yancey.
Well, but
might be more bearish than Judah over there. He says he hears the hissing of the balloon again.
But Kevin is right. It is a hiss.
I respect your comments, Kevin.
It's not a pop. It's a hiss. He's spot on. It's going to be an adjustment, but it's not going to be a pop. We've got way too much equity.
I don't see the prices dropping. You know, when I bought my condo, the condo I talk about on the show all the time.
Housing affordability, and you said this to me, and because I'm stubborn, and I'm going to keep on doing it. I believe in it. I'm going to still do it. But housing affordability in this area, highest cost of living in the state of Virginia, been that way for decades and decades and decades on that end of it. It's a thing. It's a thing. I'm going to talk about rentals. Why, to Neil's point, why don't we have enough housing affordability out there? There's not enough product. There's no missing middle, right? There's two sides of it. There's not enough product for folks to buy. You're starting to see this in Kevin's neck of the woods too.
In Waynesboro.
It's becoming an issue there too.
It's becoming costly. So I don't see, and the experts agree, that the prices aren't going to drop.
So what's interesting about
inventory is
experts?
going to get scarce.
Didn't experts say we weren't going to be over 4% mortgage rates this year? Now we're 5.5%. So you got to take that with a little bit of grain of salt.
I think they said the mortgage rate was going to go up to combat inflation. The rates were going to increase.
No, if you look at the end of 2021, all the experts, because I've got the charts from it.
But the inflation didn't start taking off till the end of Q1.
The point I'm making is experts are...
Yeah, they're talking heads, right.
Well...
Yeah, exactly, sure. And no one truly has a crystal ball.
No, well, we do. Actually, we do.
We do, physically, but does the crystal ball actually work?
Yeah.
So here's the statement I'm going to make, and it's just a straightforward, common sense statement. It sounds like Keith agrees with me that we're going to have 20% less, roughly, the inventory sold this year.
I don't disagree. That's the reason I won't take the bet.
So Keith agrees with me in 2022.
The impact is what we disagree.
We're going to have 20% less inventory sold in 2022 versus 2021. So we know that there's going to be less sold inventory this year. Or the prediction, which let's cut through the chase, we're halfway through the year, so we have some pretty good data to justify this statement with. What's it year over year? What are we down? Charlottesville, Albemarle County?
So I'm going to talk the page that's open because
Yeah.
I want to make sure I quote it right. It's Albemarle County sold, single-family detached, no new construction. We're 138 units short.
Okay.
Versus that, which is right at 20%.
Which is-
little more, a little less.
which is a lot.
Yeah, correct.
So if we have 20% less the inventory sold, what do we think is going to happen from a price point standpoint? I think the price points will preserve themselves.
Yeah, of course. But every so-called experts, to include ourselves, were saying that, right? It's just not going to be 20. So
And that's why it's different than 2008, 2009.
so you're smart. You can
Because the
do it.
price points then it dropped in 2008, 2009. We're saying they're not going to drop
Agreed,
this year.
agreed.
And if in fact they may go up.
Well, they will go up. So,
Yeah, that's the key difference, Cav.
So the normal appreciation, and you know, because I talked about this.
3 to 5%.
Correct, 3 to 6% actually.
But everything else that happened in 2008, 2009, 2010 may happen. It may happen.
Well, so what scares people and scares me and make Kevin right is,
No doc loans.
there you go. What else am I thinking?
No doc loans.
what else am I thinking?
What else are you thinking? Lowering the credit scores.
There you go. I'm thinking that. What's the third one?
2008. Tell me what's the third one.
So which we won't go there was the appraisal issue.
The appraisal issue. Yeah, we won't go
I-
there.
that's not going to go there.
We don't need to go to the appraisal
So
issue.
the big three that got
All
us.
the same stuff is happening,
Except-
except the home values
I
aren't
almost
going
got-
down.
I almost
Yeah.
did something.
Except the home values aren't going down.
Because the appraisal system is intact, right? So that you're 100% right. The appraisal system's intact. The other two, I think the federal government's going to do. And, look, let's face it. The federal governments control the appraisal system. They regulate that. I mean, they could
You
conceive.
got something?
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, wasn't 2008 kind of a
Love when Judah Wickhauer jumps in.
wasn't it a response to too many mortgages going out to
Yes.
people that shouldn't have them?
2008, 2009 was too many people getting
That had
BS
been-
loans.
But that had been going on for so long.
So long.
That was the bubble. The bubble wasn't necessarily with the housing market. The bubble was with the credit. And what happened is when all those people started
So the
defaulting on their
bubble
loans,
was-
you ended up with tons of houses on the market, because people had defaulted.
The bubble.
And that's where you end up with house prices going down because there were so many.
we had a glut
Just
of inventory
the bubble-
2008, 2009.
the
We
bubble-
don't have a glut.
No, the bubble was due to people. At the end of the day, people got greedy.
They got greedy.
People didn't care. I tell this story all the time on how this worked at this point. There was a cookie jar, right? And they opened the top, and the federal government said, look, you can take a couple of cookies out. Then they stopped looking, and everybody started taking the cookies out, and there was no cookies. There's cookies left. Then they shut the top and said, nobody's getting any cookies. And that's what happened, pretty much if you take a look at how hard it was to get a loan right after the time of great unpleasantness in 2010. And
was brutal.
You couldn't get one.
Yeah.
You were the good Lord himself, you couldn't get a loan.
Right.
You couldn't get a loan. So what they'll do, because the government does this, right, they're going to start loosening stuff up a little bit. And then we as professionals need to kind of call them on this, right? Because, look, 2004, Judah,
Yeah, anyone was getting loans. Anyone was
there
getting loans.
was dead people that were getting loans.
Not only was anyone getting loans, but everyone was able to do HELOCs, home equity line of credits. Everyone was able to be a freaking investor in 2005, 6, 7, 8.
And-
You could go and buy properties
And
even
what-
if you weren't living in them.
And what they did is they took their revenue out of that and they bought a new boat, they
Yeah.
bought a new car, they went on a world trip.
That's
thing.
not happening now.
That is not happening.
That is not. That's why we're in agreement that that's not going to happen again. Where we're in
But
a,
Kevin is right. It's a sizzle. So somebody is open. I don't want to say there's a pin in it, but the top of the balloon is being opened a little bit. Let a little bit of air out. Get the balloon back to its normal shape, because that's what we all want. We want normalcy, right? That's what that wants. That's
yeah,
what
you want consistency.
consistency.
You want something that you can count on.
Consistency and no, everybody wants this 3 to 6% increase. It's historically correct.
Yeah. He says, bet 80% of the mortgage companies in business during 2005 and 2010 are now out of business. I mean, there's a lot that closed.
So
Kev.
it's interesting. You take a look at some of these online mortgage companies; they're laying people off.
Of
left and
course
right.
they are. Everyone's laying
That's-
people off.
So who was the one that mentioned a trusted? It was Ray Cadell.
Yeah.
That's why you need a trusted advisor. That's why you need all the people that are on these partners lists that we have on our website, because these are trusted advisors from Ross Morgus all the way down the line to help you navigate this process and get through it.
Well
That's why
said.
I'm so excited about the market.
All of them at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. We should characterize of how vulnerable these markets are. We went from an incredible bull market to a bear market on Wall Street. We went from
We're not quite there yet, but we're getting close.
ridiculous inflation. We went from an incredible seller's market, one that maybe had never been seen in American history, to a pendulum that is now a buyer's market. It's swung to a buyer's market side. We went from a labor shortage market almost overnight. Q1, we were sitting on the table, first part of Q1, we were sitting on the table giving high fives.
Except for us. We predicted the inflation.
I think we did too.
We predicted the
Yeah.
inflation. I know internally we did that. This is changing, right? It's shifting. It's the reason why we've titled it what we're titling it, and it's the reason why on Friday we're going to have lessons from the legends, because we've got to start brush. That's the reason. As far as numbers go, I get it, but the reason I'm starting looking at 18 and 19, because the skills you needed to do business then in our world is what you need now to get through this. That's the reason I keep on rallying back to 18. It's the skill sets, it's the professionalism on that end of it. But you just made me think of a question from Friday that I wrote down about, when was the last time anybody seen a seller's market like the one we're either in the process of coming out, because it still is a seller's market, Jerry, right? The evidence of that is, I'm telling you,
What,
the evidence.
DOMs? The DOM
No,
current?
the evidence of that is what happened on Sunday. It's certain price points, maybe not a
Did you
seller's.
get an offer on that house?
I can't talk
Can't
about
talk
that.
about it.
I
Okay.
can't talk about that.
Is it still active?
It's still active.
Is it pending?
Well, if it was pending, then it wouldn't be still active. So
Okay,
it's still
got it.
active.
Still
But
active.
I can't. We're in the middle. I
Understand.
I can't talk.
Totally get it. And I respect that.
Yeah, I can't.
And you do a great, I want to emphasize this, you do a phenomenal job of navigating that that dance.
Yeah, this is a.
You know what, my man?
Yeah, I know what you meant. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. The leadership of everybody here at the table and all our partners and all that stuff helped me through this. But that's hard for me to navigate, as you know.
You navigate it well.
Yeah.
You navigate it extremely well, Keith.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's something that you've always done on this show.
So it's so emotionally,
Yeah.
right? The pendulum is changing, right? From sellers are doing that. Where the skill set that an agent needs to have right now to go in there, you have to, like this particular client, we helped them buy the house, so there was a relationship established. I helped them do that, so there was trust, right? He knew I was a professional. He knew I was a professional.
1987, baby. That's when you started.
1987. He trusted me, right? And he knew I cared on that end of it. And, there was things he needed to do, and he said, okay, to do it. And he started off, frankly, well, this is a seller's market. I said, no. We're shifting, right? We're shifting on that end of it. If you don't do these things, when we get a contract, it's going to be an issue at home inspection. So let's do this now. Let's get it done. Let's get it fixed. We can then tout it when we sell it to the buyer's agent and say, look, these things have all been improved on that end of it. There is our value established on the end of it. But that's what happens. You're going to have to brush those skill sets off.
This is a good one from a follow-up for Jennifer. 2 good questions from you, Jennifer. Let us know where you're watching. You're about to earn a moniker. Can he give us some insight into new construction starts?
Wow, great question. Maybe yes, maybe no yes, because I don't have it on any of these.
We can do it Wednesday.
We could do it Wednesday.
Yeah, so Wednesday show at 10:15.
Yeah, let's.
We can do that, Jennifer.
Yeah, I'll make a note on that.
I wouldn't say there's many of them.
I would go back.
Would you say there's many of them?
No, we're declining, not increasing.
Declining, right.
And it's specific product types are declining and specific product types are increasing. I would suggest to go back to the show with Jim Duncan and.
Was that last Monday?
I can't remember. No, that was a couple. I can't remember.
That's on RealTalkWithKeithSmith.com.
Yeah, go back to the conversation with Greg Slater and Jim Duncan. I think we tackled that a little bit, but I'll crunch numbers for Wednesday's show about new construction.
Why is the new construction number declining, do you think?
Well, I think product type matters.
What does that mean?
So I think what's happening here is I think the lead time, new construction is a very unique conversation, right? The lead time to generate a lot in a home is years, many, many years, well over 5 years to do that. So the problem is, or the struggle is, some of the product that is there today, meaning townhomes, right, started 5, 6, 8. There's one project that I know of that started 10 years ago. They made their decision of their product type 10 years ago. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So now you're chasing a market. You're trying to figure out what the market is now. And I think, frankly, some of the upper end townhomes, unless they're in a very specific location, are a little soft. But I don't want to.
Does that include? Oh, you don't want to go specifics?
Yeah, I got to do numbers first, so I have to do that for Wednesday. I don't want to. You taught me this lives on forever, so I don't want to misquote something on that stuff. But in a very high level, general thing, and I think you're seeing single family detached staying stable on that, but it's very location driven. So, for instance, Crozet is still moving up. Maybe Lake Monticello, which the reason I need to look at the numbers, maybe not so much, right? So Lake Monticello had no new construction. It stopped, pretty much 2008, at that point. Then it picked a little back up with Liberty Homes, and I believe now it's dropping off. But I'd have to dig the numbers. I don't want to quote something.
So we'll do that Wednesday.
Yep, got it. Took a note.
We'll do that Wednesday for you, Jennifer. And we
more
appreciate
paper, Jennifer.
Yeah, we'll appreciate your participation and let us know the name. We'd love to give you a moniker. My friend, you're a voice of clarity and a voice of reason.
I love these Batman and Robin shows.
Me too, dude, because you never know where they're going to go.
Never know where they're going to go. I prepped some stuff and just had some great stuff, but I like this debate. It's a better choice of words.
You're a voice of clarity and reason in a confusing time.
Well,
trusted advisor.
Well, thank you. I pray and I hope somebody takes this job and teaches these 60 young people.
K-Tech.
The K-Tech. I hope somebody does that.
Maybe Pop?
Pop's 80-something.
Okay, he's not the guy. No, not Pop. Pop could do it.
I'll tell you what.
But he's 80-something.
I'll tell you what. If I asked him to do it,
he would do it in a heartbeat.
I bet he would do it.
He would do it in a heartbeat.
Do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, the Pop I know would do it. You would do it in a heartbeat if you had the time.
If I had the time, I believe in it that strongly. I think, boy, I'm going to get myself into trouble here.
Shoot divorce.
I love when you do that. I preempt that.
I love when you
That's called Smith convincing himself that he should say what's on his mind.
I love when he says
I'll tell you, I was in a meeting the other day. I was chairing a meeting the other day.
Did you say it like that?
No. I said something, and the person that I was with leaned over to me, and he said, actually it was a she said, "That's the first time you've heard that too." And I went, "You know what? You're right. That's the first time I heard that." Sometimes it doesn't register, it just comes out. But, as my grandmother always said, "Keithy, me boy, when they vaccinated you, they used a phonograph needle instead of a hypodermic needle. Shut the bleep up." I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Bring me back there, Jerry.
You were wrapping up the show and how Pop and Keith would help with this class anytime at K-Tech, always.
Yeah, so I just think we need to figure out a way to do that.
No doubt.
We really do. Yeah.
No doubt.
So the interview today at 12,
what time?
At 12 o'clock. They think I'm going to talk about.
The reporter's like, "I'm going to come by for a 5 minutes, catch a 10-second soundbite." They don't realize Keith is going to keep them there for about an hour.
And no, what they don't realize that I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about this K-Tech thing.
Oh, you should.
That's literally going to do.
Yeah.
They don't know that yet unless they're watching.
That needs attention. That
Yeah.
undoubtedly
Yeah,
needs
I'm
attention.
actually going
And
to
you
talk about
shared it a bunch of times on Facebook, too.
I did. So wrap up real quick.
Yeah.
Before I lose this train of thought.
Please.
On that end of it. People ask me why I do this all the time. And
Yeah.
people ask me, Facebook and social media and yada, yada, yada. They're pretty much down on it. I was telling Judah about this before.
Who is down on social media?
Oh, a lot of people do. A lot of people don't like social media. I get that quite often. I'd watch your show, but I don't do Facebook. I don't believe in Facebook. I don't believe in social media. It's negative and all this stuff. Friday,
Yeah.
Forrest the dog escaped again.
What? Forrest.
The dude literally
Out of the backyard, the fence?
jumped over a 5-foot fence.
He jumped over a 5-foot fence? That's not good, because once he does it once,
Yeah.
he knows he can do it out.
Yeah, so I'm applying the lies of the dog theory with Forrest because I'm feeding him treats, and so he gains a little
Because
extra.
you want him to get hefty?
I want him to get
so
hefty.
he can't jump as much.
There you go. That's always working.
Has
at
it
that.
worked?
Apparently not.
He jumped over a 5-foot fence?
But here's the point I'm trying to make. He was on the run because he's a hound.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of deer.
Follows his nose and miles away, 10 minutes
We
later.
actually picked him up almost 4 miles away.
Yeah.
But you know how we got him?
How? Social media?
Social media.
Would Yona put something on Facebook?
Yona put it on all the different Facebooks and all that stuff, all the different social media platforms on that, and literally we were sitting on, because we stopped what we were doing because we came home, and we sat on our front porch, and at one point in time we were thinking about getting the GPS tracker for him because this is not the first time
Yeah,
this has
this is
happened.
like third time.
This is like the fourth time.
Fourth time.
On that end of it, but you don't really need it because we were following them via social media, all these different Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, Instagram accounts, all these things we sent this stuff that we are on 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And we followed them. And we ended up getting them.
How'd you find him?
A
He was in someone's yard?
Facebook thing said he decided he was done running it after 8 hours and laid down in the yard. And the person was following us on Facebook. And that's how we got it. So social media for the good. And to say that we were panicking would be an understatement.
Sure, you guys love Forrest.
We love Forrest.
Yes, this is your baby.
Crossed 53 4 times.
What?
Yeah.
Damn it, Forrest.
It's instincts. You'll walk him in the morning, and because Lake Monticello, you can't do anything about the deer, and there's hundreds and hundreds
Yeah.
all over the place. And you just watch his back legs just start shaking. His instincts just pick up, and it's just it didn't matter who's in front of him, he's going on that end of it.
The Smiths rescued Forrest from the Fluvanna County SPCA.
You
He's
did?
a hound and just an absolutely fabulous dog. I'm glad to have him back in the family.
A shout out to that because Yona's on the Fluvanna SPCA board.
She's on the board.
So shout out to them.
Judah Wickower, job well done today. Keith Smith of Yes Realty Partners. We're back Wednesday with that answer on new construction for you, Jennifer.
Got it.
Today's show presented by Keller Williams Alliance and Yes Realty Partners. My name is Jerry Miller. The I Love Seville show is up in 56 minutes. Keith, job well done. Judah,
Ditto,
thank
back
you.
at you.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you shortly, guys. Take care. Very well done. Forrest jumped a 5-foot fence. Jesus.
Well, that's the only way you got out.